and good afternoon. Well, it's afternoon on my side. Teferi, it might be morning, or I know you guys are like a day ahead over there. But welcome to everyone. My name is Idil Osman. I am one of the lecturers here at the University of Leicester. I specialize in media and communication and the role they play in migration and development in East Africa. And I welcome you all to the 24th seminar of the International PhD in Progress Seminar Series Phase 3, organized by the Global South Network. I'd like to extend a special thanks to Dr. Nouman, who's one of our lecturers here in the School of Law, for convening these very useful seminar series and the overall Global South Network. I am joined by Dr. Marcus De Matos. He is a lecturer in law at the University of Southampton. He's going to be our discussant. I think we're also joined by Samuel Catano. Is he here yet?
He will be joining us soon.
Okay. Well, he will be our peer commentator for today's session. He's a Mexican lawyer and a political scientist who's currently pursuing his GSD at Yale Law School. And last but not least, our presenter for today's session, Teferi Hassen, who's just started his PhD at the University of New England in Australia. And he will be presenting today on his project entitled Constitutionalism in the Multi-Ethnic State of Ethiopia, Democracy and Rule of Law Matter. Teferi, you have 30 to 35 minutes for the presentation, and that will be followed by 5 minutes for comments and questions from the discussant, and then also 5 minutes by the peer commentator, and then the final 15 minutes will be for Q&A by all of the attendees. So without further ado, I am handing it over to Teferi. The floor is yours, Teferi.
Thank you for the nice introduction. And this is Teferi Michael. So to discuss about the issue of constitutionalism in the multi-ethnic state of Ethiopia. As to the rule of law, how rule of law and democracy are promoted, and social identity conflicts, especially ethnic conflict, is regulated. In that case, to begin with dealing with this issue, I would like to say that, as we know, that communities live together. They live together because they want to have a quality of life. The quality of life they aspire to bring about is what usually we call development. It is the people themselves that will bring about the development of their own. In doing so, they come together and they establish institutions. What you should bear here in mind is that the people come together and based on their values and beliefs, their ideas and understandings. That means when they are to establish the institution, it is based on these values, their values and beliefs, their ideas and understanding. This institution they identify usually as government. And they organize this institution not to bring them development. As I said, it is the people themselves who bring about development, or who are there to increase the quality of their life, based on their values, beliefs, and ideas and understandings. So the government is to do that, to facilitate them bring about their own development. In doing so, the people in the community, they organize offices within the government. The legislative, the executive, and the judiciary are commonly understood. It is these people who do so. When I say the people, it's not all the people or in the community that are doing. It is only those who have the legitimate capacity to do that. That means, based on the values and beliefs, ideas and understanding of that community, it may be only men, or it may be people above 18 years old. It may not exclude, it may exclude women. So that depends on the people. It is these communities, I mean, the people from the community that decide on how that government is to run about. That is the constituency. The constituency within the community, that is to decide about how is the government they call is established, how the people are assigned, how it operates, and how it is terminated. I mean, of course, that is an institution. The people need this institution. The people are doing this because they want to increase their quality of life. They want to bring about the development. Mind you, the major duty and responsibility of this institution is to facilitate the people with indispensable tools and methods of bringing the quality of life the people deserve. The people who want it, not to bring development for the people. So, the community of citizens in the constituency, that means those with legitimate power, form this constituency. So, this is what we are talking about, all about constitutionalism. Constitutionalism is the idea and doctrine, the theory and method of endorsing and promoting or constitutionalizing the cultural. When you say cultural, it is the political culture, the economic culture, the social culture, many other cultures. Cultural values and beliefs, ideas and understandings of a particular community of citizens. That means the constituency. Among its members, the people in the neighboring constituencies, and the communities in territories beyond. And you promoting what? It's promoting and endorsing the values and beliefs, ideas and understandings of that community. That is what we say constitutionalism is. Constituentialism. So, what is this constituency composed of? As a matter of fact, we can take this constituency with the core-mantle analogy, of course. This is the constituency. When I say constituency, it is a community of citizens with legitimate power to make decisions as to set the system of government, structure its functions and offices of government, and identify those who should manage government offices. This constitutes a constituency. So, taking the analogy of the crust mantle core analogy of Earth, here, all citizens who cannot, or all citizens in general, those non-franchised, they constitute the first layer, which is just a layer. And then below is the franchised citizens. That is also the crust part of the constituency. The above has two parts, the franchised and the non-franchised. Below, I mean, next to this, in the community, in the constituency, are the government that the community established. That is, as we can equate as the mantle, let's say. You see, the first layer being the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary as a whole. The next ring is the committee in the legislatures, the cabinet in the executive, and the judicial council in the judiciary. So below, next to this layer is the core that I call the core of the constituency. That means for the cabinet and the executive is the head of government that we call, be it prime minister or president, as to the government. Here in the judiciary, we may call the square one is the supreme judge. When you come to the legislature, the speaker. So these three form the outer core of the government. That means they decide, the ultimate decision makers. And above all, is the head of state. The head of the community in general. This is the constituency. This is it is the values and beliefs, ideas and understanding of this constituency that is promoted, that is endorsed among the community members, among the people in the neighboring constituencies, or people beyond, because the values and beliefs of this community could become global, it could be accepted by the neighboring. So that's what is constitutionalization. So how is this done? How the constitutionalization is done? You see now, this being the constituency could be one as a whole, as a country, as a state, or it could be different in multiple societies, in homogeneous societies. How it looks in homogeneous societies and in heterogeneous societies. In homogeneous society, the single one that is by itself creates the state in the country. That is the recognized one. You can have many heterogeneous societies with the same or similar values and beliefs, ideas and understandings. And there are heterogeneous societies with different constituencies, that means with different values and beliefs, ideas and understandings. And this, in heterogeneous societies, they form the common constituency. That means each of the community constituencies come together and form the common constituency. How is this done? By LMCC. Constitutionalism is done through constitutionalization process. And constitutionalization is to use different instruments. The process of constitutionalization is carried out using different instruments. That being the instruments being different, the major and commonly used, the formal, the traditional one, and the binding one, by which every constituency usually appreciates, is the Constitution. Here, I'd say Constitution is the major and formal binding instrument by which the constituency promotes its values and beliefs, its ideas and understandings. So, for homogeneous state society, there is a constitution. For a heterogeneous state society, each may have their own constitution, and they may have a common constitution. It is with this constitution that they are promoting, of course. And I'm dealing with this major formal and binding instrument that is traditionally used, instrument of constitutionalization, by which the values and beliefs, ideas and understandings of the constituency is promoted in constitutionalism. So, when you come to the heterogeneous society, the representatives in a common constituency and in the federated politics constituency, in the common and the community constituency, the representatives in the community, both the representative is to promote the values and beliefs of its own constituency. But it is all to safeguard the common constituency on the one hand and the community constituency on the other. So, the representative in the common constituency is to protect the common constituency. And the constituency, the representative in the community constituency is to promote the community constituency. Both are to promote their respective constituencies to which they are represented, but on the basis of the community constituency they belong. So that is how the common constituency and the community constituency representatives are related here. Ethiopia is a heterogeneous society. When we are saying this, it is organized or structured into different community. It is a state that is established by different community constituencies. The constituency of Amara that we call the state of Amara, the federated polity of Amara, the community of Oromo, Tigray, Somali, Benishangul, Gambela, and the south is Sidama, the Afar. All these constituencies come together to form the common constituency the state of Ethiopia, that we call the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia by constitution. They formed it by the common constitution, the constitution of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, as I said. And each of the communities or the federating polities do have their own constitution, do have their own national anthem, do have their own flags, and do have their own government. As I said, the representatives in Amhara and the Amhara representatives in the common constituency is to promote the value and belief of the Amharan community constituency. In the common constituency, it is to safeguard the common constituency, the state of Ethiopia. And the representative in the Amhara community constituency is to safeguard the Amhara or the Oromia or the Somali community constituencies, values and beliefs, ideas and understandings. When you come to the composition, you can see it is according to the census that was made in 2007, was projectized in 2012, but it's basis on the census on 2007, some years go back. The Oromos constitute, the Amharas constitute, all the constitutions are there. What you should bear in mind is that the Amharas and Oromos constitute 62% of the entire Ethiopian community constituencies. See, the Ethiopian state population. The Ethiopian state population is now projected to be 129.7 million, and almost 62% of this population belongs to the Amharas or Oromo ethnic community. So the other 13, of course, the rest you can see. So that's the whole of Ethiopian constituencies, how it is formed. So the federal government. Now, the problem is these people of Ethiopia by now is constantly increasing extreme and high violent ethnic conflict as well. And the country is organized into authoritarian regime, political pluralism severely constrained. Of course, the country has been authoritarian for centuries, and still it is. Yeah, see, and now the backsliding rule of law characterized by executives overarching diminished human rights and justice system is all over there. Now the question is, so what? What does constitutionalism have with this? As I say, constitutionalism is to regulate ethnic conflict. Constitutionalism is to promote rule of law and democracy. And this can be done through the traditional and most formal and binding instrument of constitutionalization, the Constitution. And this is mediated by the values and beliefs, ideas and knowledge or understandings of the constituency. So it matters, constitutionalism matters. And because constitutionalism is all about constituency. Because constitutionalism is an ideology, it is a doctrine, it is a theory, it is a method of endorsing and promoting the values and beliefs, ideas and understandings of the community of citizens and a constituency. It is, if there is
Teferi, just to let you know, you've got 5 minutes left, yeah?
All right. So if there is ethnic conflict, then it is among the community. If there is no democracy and rule of law, then it is about the community. So all in all, constitutionalism is for the well-being of the society. Of course, people say it is to limit the government. Constitutionalism has many principles around that. And ethnic conflict could be caused by different issues, the perception of differences, the attachment and pride, and of course, the prejudice and discrimination. Mind you, the perception of difference or the attachment and pride by itself doesn't constitute, doesn't lead to conflict. It is only when prejudice and discrimination is there over the ethnic identity that ethnic conflict could be raised. So it can be sorted by different primordial, instrumental, or constructivist way. So constitutionalism is to regulate ethnic conflict by managing differences and some by eliminating differences. The Ethiopian government preferred for managing differences through accommodation. That means through federalization. But the problem still goes on. What is constituted is, as I said, but what you would bear in mind is ideas and knowledge narrowed down when the borders at the periphery and the values and beliefs narrow down to the leadership at the same time. Where the two come together, the democracy and rule of law sustains, prevail. So that is the question. What is the missing link in the constitutionalization process in the Ethiopian community? How are the constitutions and derivative laws of the federal polities cross-referencing each other? What are the major setbacks? And this is the objective, is just to identify where the missing link is in the Ethiopian constitutionalism. The methodology is doctrinal. That means an exploration into the legal concept and the principles of constitutionalism embedded in the Ethiopian constitution and derivative rules and regulations. It is to examine the constitution and the respective rules and beliefs of the constituency. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Teferi. So now we will get the input from Samuel. Samuel's the peer commentator, and we'll have 5 minutes of his reflections. Samuel?
Hi, yes, thank you. Thank you, Teferi, for your presentation. I think it was very interesting to learn about the Ethiopian state and the current state of the rule of law and the constitutionalization project. What I wanted to know a little is whether you have considered turning this into a comparative project, because it does seem that you have the knowledge of the particular country you are interested in, you're working on, and that's perfect. But I think that maybe it would be insightful to check with other authoritarian states that have done the same constitutionalization project and also have ethnic differences. There are many examples in Africa, of course, but also in Latin America and in other countries. So it might be interesting to look at them and to see if you can find that answer to your question there. Like, for example, for some time, it doesn't work right now, but for some time, it did work in Bolivia. The constitution of Bolivia worked to manage conflict between different ethnies. So it might be interesting to look into that. And the other thing that I think you should question, and I think you have the idea, but I'd like to hear from you, is if we should believe the ideal of the constitutionalism. You are giving it like it is granted, and I think we as lawyers we're used to do that. But maybe the liberal state sold us that constitutionalism is the answer to all of our problems in the global south, and maybe it isn't, because it lacks a lot of substance. It doesn't have really one only answer for every country, for the problems of every country. So that might be something that you have thought about, and might be interesting to see that in the project. Thank you very much again.
Thank you, Samuel. Teferi, do you want to respond to that before I move on to Marcus?
Yeah, of course, yeah. That's good experience to take the experience of countries who have solved the problem with the constitutionalism in such a way. Yeah, indeed, what I say, the point is, constitutionalism is for both democratic and non-democratic states. The democratic states could have constitution, non-democratic states also have constitution. Okay, but when you say constitutionalism, as I said, it is not about the constitution. It is about the values and beliefs, ideas and understandings of the people who determine, who make their ultimate decision. Those people could be dictators, and the values and beliefs of the dictators could be constitutionalized. And the values and beliefs of the Democrats at the top, at the constituency side, could be constitutionalized. Both to have their own constitution. So the constitutionalism is all about the constituency. And constitution is the instrument by which this constitutionalization is done, is carried out. That's what I perceive. And so in every country, that I think I want to say that. Otherwise, I will consider your suggestions. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Teferi. Marcus, over to you.
Thank you, Teferi, for the opportunity of commenting your work. Thank you again, Norman and Idil. Is that correct? Sorry.
That's right, yes.
Thank you. It's as I said last week, it's never dull to come to the Global South Network. It's always interesting. So first of all, I love the idea of visualizing constitutional theory. The way you schematize, you diagrammed the relationship between values and ideas and federations, and I thought that was very good. But then the things that came up to my mind as you were speaking, you seem to do an opposition between. First of all, the idea that constitutionalism should be about the constituency brings down all the liberal, let's say, apparatus of representation to the people who are actually there. So I think that's a good way to follow. However, you seem to oppose constituency, like the local or the federate constituency, to the state, the federate state. And in a sense, I also feel that you are under that. There's an idea that the community underlies the society. And I'm wondering, like, my first question to you is, like, did you worry about that? Did you go into the discussion of, for example, communitarianism, which was something that was very popular in the 90s in the US, and that affected the very idea of constitutionalism as a universal philosophical force for political understanding? That's one question. Second, you also, I really like the idea that constitutionalism is about how you constitute a people. But then that background, and I think Samuel also pointed to that, the historical development of constitutionalism is about people who actually constituted themselves as a people, and then they attacked and colonized other people who were not constituted as people, as person, as they were. So constitutionalism allows as well in its history for one people to exercise power over others. Like, we are equal among us here in the colony, in the metropoly. But when we go to the colony, those people are not equal to us. So that was already there in the very beginning of the liberal enlightened revolutions. And in a sense, I really like the way you separate like the nation state to the state nation or something like that. In a sense, like the nation state, that European model could be expanded into a state of nations. But I also wonder how that would fit with the theory. Like if you go, for example, for imagined communities of Benedict Anderson, or are we talking about when you say homogeneous societies and heterogeneous societies? Aren't you talking about ideal types, like Max Weber ideas of these ideals? They're not actually homogeneous. I think there's my final point to you. I think there's an issue of representation that needs to be addressed. You're talking about authoritarian context, so perhaps that's why it's not come to the fore of your work. But how do you build a constituent procedure that would lead to a constitution that is actually accepted by all the constituents in an authoritarian state? I don't think that's possible, because you need the people to be part of the process, to be able to have a constitution that is legitimate. So how do we build this? And I was thinking about, for example, Lebanon. I think in Lebanon you have we still have, just as Samuel pointed out about Bolivia, we used to have in Lebanon a constitutional structure that would have places for ethnic minorities to be represented there. And the model of federate constitutionalism that you have in bigger countries, like large countries like the US or Brazil, it does not seem to have, doesn't seem to help, because when you look at the history, these are countries where minority were completely segregated, like the communities were destroyed, and we are now talking about reparation. So I'm not entirely sure that that the federate scheme is able to equalize disputes if you don't have a way to make the minorities represented. Does that make sense? Just to give an example, in federation, sometimes you have like the states will be represented in the Senate, but the majority of population will be represented in the House of Commons or something like that. But the problem is, if you are an ethnic minority and you don't own a state, you're never going to make it to the common representative house, and perhaps you won't make it to the Senate as well, because you don't have a state. So a local state, a constituency. So my point is, I'm not sure the federate scheme will, the way you design, what you design there is very clever, but I'm not sure that can overcome the lack of representation.
Okay,
do you want to respond?
Yeah. Actually, you have very great and major points he raised. One great issue after another. Don't please remind me if I miss, because you have raised many best issues. So you see, the first thing is that, as you say, the communities indeed would grow up to societies. Yeah, definitely. When I say the community constituency, I want to level the basement. Otherwise, what you say, the community is a society, you can say it. The society, you can say. So when the society grows, it establishes a state. This is the family, the community, the society, and the state. That is you can use alternatively whatever, provided that the constituency is there. You can't avoid constituency. It is there as the communities. It is there with the societies, with the state. Finally, that the state is the product of society, and the society is the product of the community. So you see, now the point is, what is that constituency? What is that constituency constituted of? Be it society, or community, or family level, whatever. The constituency is the one who has the power to decide. This community can be established, this constituency can be established by all means. Either democratically through democratic elections, or by force, or by divinity. The king is a constituency. He is a constituency. One man is a constituency. Why? Because he decides, ultimately. He decides on the type of government, on the way how people live, how in everything of their life, the king's decision is there. So the king constitutes the constituency. Or it can be authoritarian or dictatorial. That means there is the participation of every individual here. The one who decides makes the constituency. When you come to the democratic society, it is every individual that decides through the process of democratic election. Okay? You see now, where the leader, be it a king or authoritarian or democratic leader, has the idea and the understanding and the value and the values and beliefs of the community. It has. If it respects the society, then democracy and rule of law is there. When that leader, its ideas and understandings contradicts the values and beliefs of the entire society, you cannot expect democracy to prevail or rule of law to appear. What matters is in the constituency. The constituency could be the entire society, or groups, or individuals. Actually, there are no kings by now who make that much decision, otherwise they are limited constitutionally. But there are dictators. Wherever you go. In Africa is common, in Latin America is common. These dictators, they establish a constituency. When I say the constituency, it is the one, those people, those community of citizens who decide on the issues that affect the development of the people entirely, that affect the quality of life of the people, wherever the world they are. That is. The other thing is, the common constituency is for different constituencies, as I say, community or societal community constituencies, as you said, for different individual constituencies come together. That constituency big by the king or by dictator or whatever, they come together and they form a common constituency. That common constituency usually it resembles the federal system. It resembles that common constituency. So the common constituency is not necessarily federal, but it is common. It is common.
All right, Teferi, I'm going to have to wrap you up just to give the floor a chance as well, yeah?
Okay, thank you.
But thank you for those reflections, and also thank you to Marcus and Samuel for both of their reflections on your great presentation. That's been really insightful. I want to open it up to the floor now. We've got quite a number of attendees. Do you guys have any questions or reflections you would like to share with Teferi? All right, maybe I can take the liberty of the chair whilst everybody else is still thinking.
I think
Teferi, I understand you are.
Yeah, Gifty raised hand.
Oh, she's got her hands up. Yes. Okay. Gifty, go on.
Okay. Teferi, thanks for the presentation. It's quite an extensive work that has been done so far. But I will suggest that you narrow the work, because it looks quite broader. It's broad, and you are capturing almost every aspect of it. Let's see where you can, reduce your, because getting the data and all that is going to, make it more wider. So let's see how best you can narrow your scope, and then so that you can, actually pinpoint your contribution, given the broader scope that I'm seeing. But well done. It's a good job. Thank you.
Just to add to this thing, and then Idil, you can continue your comment, and I have just a comment. Considering Teferi just started, a few months ago, he started his PhD, and I think it's a great start. It's a very provocative approach. The bottom-up approach towards constitutionalism is rare. Like as Gifty said, you need to just specify it, narrow it down, just to make it more feasible. I think that would be a great idea. But other than that, I really enjoyed that. The Ethiopian case study is very looks like it has great potential to offer new insights into the field of constitutionalism. Idil, over to you. You have a question.
Yeah, thanks, Noan. Just to follow up on that, I wanted to find out what got you interested in this subject, Teferi? What were your motivations to start studying this particular topic?
Yes, that's great. The problem is going on in Ethiopia now. You may have heard the news. And every professional is contributing the way out. And as a legal in legal profession, I would like to contribute one. How this problem can be solved with the constitution, because the people say the problem in Ethiopia, this ethnic conflict, is because of the federal constitution. That is, they understand that way. Really, the constitution by itself can create a conflict. Is that a problem? I know it is not. But what is the missing link in the constitutionalism process? That these ethnic groups are fighting each other. If I found that missing link, then I can recommend the solution at the legal profession.
Yeah, the key issue is what Marcus highlighted earlier. I really liked how he phrased it as a state of nations, because Ethiopia really is made up of nations. The geography that you just gave us of the different community groups. So it will be difficult to find common ground. Do you think that the Constitution, as it stands right now, gives a common ground for all of those nations?
Yeah. You see, they say they establish the Constitution themselves. They say this is our Constitution. If they say this is their Constitution, then the Constitution should not be a cause for their conflict. If they thought so. So there must be a missing link in the Constitution. They say it is ours. You see? So the nation state, that means a state of one nation, and a state nation, that means a state of many nations. Ethiopia is a state nation, not a nation state, as you said. So a state nation with many nations, that means many social identity groups, particularly ethnic groups, with their own values and beliefs. And This is what I say. See, every constituency is for its community values and beliefs. When the constituency people take their values and beliefs of the community into the common constituency, they should have taken it as the people beliefs and values. If it is not, then these people get in conflict.
Mm-hmm.
You see, because the constitution that they say ours doesn't reflect their values and beliefs. Their ideas and understandings are not reflected in that constitution. So they are opt for conflict. And one thing, the conflict could be primordial, ethnically. It can be instrumental, or it can be constructive. In this case, usually it is instrumental. That it is the leaders, because it is the dictators that make the constituency, and it is the dictators that get the people to fight.
Yeah.
That is actually, it is early to say this. It is after my investigations.
Yeah. Yeah, this will be an interesting terrain of discovery for you as you continue your PhD process.
Thank you.
And I think Gifty has added a comment to what you were saying. She's saying the problem may be that its implementation does not consider the peculiar or the specific values of the different nations. So that, you know, could be another consideration. We've got a couple of minutes left for one or two questions. Does anybody else want to ask a question or perhaps give Teferi more feedback?
I think this one comment, I mean, the building upon the concept of state-nation, and I think that is what Marcus was trying to say, that in nation-state, you first, you first try to understand what kind of nation we are actually dealing with, what is the composition of nature, its language, its culture, its value, who is the majority, who is the minority, and what is the middle point. But when it comes to state-nation, majority group actually make up a constitution, come up with a constitution, introduce that, impose on that, and start defining that this is the understanding of nation, and that has to be imposed upon other. So, for example, giving some examples is, I will start with my country, is Pakistan, where Muslims, Punjabis, they are the majority group, and all dictators, these throughout 60s and 70s, they have been introducing different constitutions defining the nation, that actually there are two nations in this region, Muslims and Hindus, and that is how the world should look at them. But that was not true at all. We have 60 languages spoken in Pakistan. Same goes for India, very diverse, but Indian case is different. Stable constitution, slowly and gradually with some instabilities in 1980s. Another example you could give from Israel. So the Ashkenazi Jews, Arab Jews. So Ashkenazi Jews are actually dominating the state institutions, but then the other Christians and the Arab Jews, they are different. And it's the Ashkenazis who are actually dominating, and they define the nation. And one of the major questions in all these jurisdictions, like Pakistan, Iran, and Israel, was who is good Jew, who is good Muslim, and all these, and that actually determined the concept of state-nation in a top-down manner. And I think that was very useful. And I think what you're trying to say is that constitutionalism needs to be developed in a cultural manner, in a behavioral manner, in an attitudinal way. That's just a comment.
Good.
Yeah, that's great comment, indeed. That's very good comment. That's what it adds more value to the point, because you have raised countries that I didn't think of, that Israel and even India is stable with constitution. Now India is stable with constitution, as you said, that I should go through and should see.
Very good. Okay, well, we have reached the end of the session, so I just wanted to take this opportunity to again thank Samuel, and Marcus for their contributions, Nu'man for bringing all of us together and continuing this wonderful network of Global South scholars and the scholarship that we all share. Teferi, for your wonderful presentation. We wish you all the best as you continue on your PhD path. And finally, to all of you for your attendance and your contributions and insights. Thank you all very much and have a wonderful afternoon and rest of the day.
Thank you very much. Thank you very